Hey, it's Dr. Nate coming to you from Physio Room again, and I'm standing with Coach Joe of Spartan Strength Systems. And we walked his gym about a month ago. He's now operational with an open house happening this Saturday, the 25th of February. And Joe and I have been talking about some of the things that he wants to do with his athletes, and mentioned that some of them want to move from the powerlifting realm into strongman competitions.
Yeah, one of the biggest transitions moving from powerlifting to strongman that a lot of our athletes are already starting to see is the overhead mobility. We spend so much time powerlifting, it's a very specific sport, squat, bench, deadlift. We spend so much of our time pressing in this frontal, horizontal plane, tight lats, tight triceps, which makes it almost a complete nightmare trying to move up overhead, as you can probably see with me already. So we wanted to collaborate with Dr. Nate in Physio Room to try and see what we need to do in order to kind of bridge the gap and really push our performance as much as possible on the strongman plane.
Right on. So we are going to take a look at mobility today. We want to be very careful with that word because most people will think mobility is flexibility.
Right.
And that's not necessarily the case. Mobility is the umbrella. Flexibility is part of your mobility, but so is stability.
Absolutely.
And actually, with our powerlifters, it's actually, I'm not against having tight lats or tight. You want to be tight. There's some studies out there that show that runners with tight hamstrings, in some cases, might even run better, right? So that can lend to our performance. So when we start going overhead, we're not trying to destroy this tightness, but we do want to increase our flexibility a little bit, maintain our stability. So we're going to go over some ways to evaluate that and do that. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So one of the things, Joe put his arms up overhead briefly, but let's go ahead, if you turn to the side of the camera there. Yep. And then we'll just place your arms straight up overhead as much as you can. And he can almost get his head through this window. His biceps about the plane of his ear, but we want to be able to get his ear past that. Now that's not going to happen in one day. Go ahead and relax, thanks. But with some effort, we can improve his ability to do that. A lot of people will compensate. Go ahead and do that again by extending here at the lumbar spine and maybe even the thoracic spine. So we'll show you how we should address that to make it safe for your entire body, not just for the shoulder. Okay. So, Joe, let's start getting a more scientific look at your shoulder mobility by putting you on the ground. If you could lay down right there. Nice. And what you want here is you want as much of your spine against the ground as you can get. So if you push your lumbar spine down, thoracic spine is already down, and maybe you can kind of tuck your chin so that the cervical spine is as close to the ground as you can get. And then from here, that's where we want you to take your arm. Let's just do one at a time. One arm up overhead, trying to get it to the ground. And what you're looking for here is for that lumbar spine or the thoracic spine to pop up off the ground. He's actually doing pretty well. If you can get the elbow down to there, that's a little bit difficult there. Okay, and let's come up. And the other arm, let's see what that looks like. And checking that space underneath the thoracic spine. Okay, come back up. That seems a little bit less flexible than the right side. What do you feel?
Definitely way tighter on this right hand side, and I'm having left hand side,
yeah.
Really struggling to kind of get this back. Right goes okay,
yeah.
Left not so much.
And do you see that in your lifts?
Yes,
as well?
absolutely.
Okay, so left is a bit of a problem. And where do you feel that at when you do that?
I feel a lot of that in kind of this lower lat, even a little bit of like a rector area as I'm trying to come back over.
Yeah.
Trying to keep from arching up and keeping everything flat. And I definitely feel that tension in there.
Okay. So that's one impairment that we found, is especially that left arm. Let's see both arms real quick. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's come back down. So we've checked out flexion, and then we do want to observe his rotation. So set the arms out at 90 degrees. And then try to lay the arms like goalposts against the ground. Again, that right side goes pretty good. Left side's lacking a little bit. You are right-handed, I assume. And so we do expect a little bit more of external rotation from that right hand. Lastly, let's check the internal rotation. Arm comes down. Oh, pretty good for the right side, and that's about what we would expect from the left side. Pain or problems with any of those?
Not a whole lot of pain, a little bit of discomfort on the left side, kind of in the shoulder area, as I really try and kind of get that internal rotation there though.
Okay, nice. I mean, not nice, but that we've identified it as nice. So really, this is a limitation. Maybe this internal rotation and external rotation, all on the left side. So we're going to do a few things that will help take care of that. The first thing we want to do is address the spine. People want to focus on their shoulder, but we want to make sure that the spine is mobile. That mobility again, we want it to be stable and flexible. Okay. Foam roller, and I know it's tried and true. A lot of people might dismiss it, but it's a great place to start. So what I want you to do with this, Joe, is you'll just sit up slightly. You set this about the level of the bottom of your shoulder blades. So if you have to roll up a little bit, that's fine. Yeah. And then fingers behind the neck. And all you have to do here is extend and then flex up and down about 5 times like that, as far back as you can get. Good. Good. And it's okay if you're extending the thoracic spine, even that cervical spine. Yeah, coming up like that. And once you've done that, now we're going to place this at about the level of the mid-scapula. There we go, just like that. Same thing. Good, and after he does about 5 of those, then we can reassess how that left arm is moving. Let's place you just like that. And from here, go ahead and lay flat like you were before. Yeah, there we go, that works. And then arms up overhead. Okay. We see just a little bit more. He's able to get the rotation as well as the flexion. What do you feel with doing this?
It's easier to get to the floor. I still feel a little bit of tension and kind of like that bottom of the scapula.
Down
like
here.
That. Yeah, right under
Yep.
there.
Okay, that's good. That we'll target that next. Okay, so come on up. So we've addressed the spine. Let's go ahead and stand up. Now, Joe's mentioned that he feels it right here on his left side, but right here. So, and in the lumbar spine. We're going to save the lumbar spine for a different video. We're going to focus on the thoracic spine up right now. But if after we do all this and we retest him and he's still feeling it down there, then you want to catch that on the lumbar spine video. Let's come over to this bench. Now, we've got a small rack set up. This can be done on a regular sized rack, of course, and it can be done in standing or in sitting. So what I'm going to want Joe to do, and I'll show you on my right side, but you'll want to do it on your left. We're going to come into this lat area. You're just going to kind of roll up and down into that lat area as far as you can get into the side there. Kind of find that space that feels sticky to you. Once you've done that, once you've found that spot, oh man, that's about it right there. Then all I want you to do is bring your arm in and out, adduct it and abduct it like this. And you can even work into some flexion and extension like this while you've pinned down that spot. And then we can work a little bit above it, do the same thing. The whole time that you're below your shoulder, that you've got the bar below your shoulder, then you need to be moving the shoulder joint, okay? Now, if you're feeling the tightness more up in the arm, then we're gonna wanna pin that. Maybe it's the triceps, maybe it's your teres major and teres minor. We get into that area above the shoulder. Now we're going to be bending and flexing the elbow instead of the shoulder joint. Right? So addressing below the shoulder joint and addressing above the shoulder joint. Let's start with you on that lat area on the left side. Okay, we got into that spot yet?
Yeah.
Feel that there? We can also lower this if we need to, so you can get a little bit lower. Should we try that?
Yeah.
No? Yeah. Make the equipment work for you. Nice, and probably can't see as well on the video, but he's pinned down that spot that he was complaining about on the floor, and now he's abducting and adducting that shoulder up and down. Good. And then while you're here, you might even press into that and then kind of rotate over it back and forth. this.
Actually feel a lot more rotating through it.
Yeah, that's fine. You can do that with your shoulder in different positions, so, yep. Let's stand up from that. Before we get back on the ground, I just want to see how you look with putting your arms up overhead. Let's see what that. Oh, let's keep this stable. Yep. All right, so I'm seeing about half of his ear now. That's good, it's better than before. Let's check this side real quick. Yeah, that side's not as much of a problem, that goes there pretty easy. Let's lay back down on the ground. Okay, let's start with that right arm. We did one arm at a time before. Good, we're keeping that spine nice and good. And bring that down, and let's do the left side. Oh, okay. What do you feel with that?
I feel like when my right arm is already back, it's a little bit tougher getting back here, because I think I'm probably not able to rotate into it quite as much.
Okay.
But I feel less discomfort in the spot.
In this spot.
Yeah.
Okay, come back down. Let's leave the right arm down. Just leave the right arm down. Up, yeah, and just bring the left one up. Yeah. Okay. And let me get this. Oh, there we go. This side. Bring that one up now. So I should have a camera for this pre and post. With his first one, he was about out to here. That's a little bit exaggerated, but he's about out to there. Here, we're near symmetrical on both sides. And you're never going to be truly symmetrical, but I would be much more comfortable loading up this position than we would have been at the beginning. So that's great, Joe. Let's go ahead and stand up. So those are just a couple of ways that we can improve our flexibility, that part of our mobility, doing some spine, addressing the spine, the thoracic spine specifically, and then that particular tissue that he's reporting is uncomfortable or is limiting him in that overhead movement. Once we've done that, now we need to train the brain to stabilize that area. And probably the two best things that I found for stabilizing the shoulder and thoracic areas. Number one, the crossover symmetry. And we don't have one of those set up in this gym yet, but we will soon. And the second is the shoulder rock. Now, the shoulder rock, it seems like you're increasing your flexibility with this, because I'll have you stand to the side so we don't injure you, but it's like mace training where it swings around. You see how my shoulder has to go through near full range of motion to make something like this happen. But what's happening is that, yes, it's going through full range of motion, but it's also stabilizing while I do it. I have to stabilize it because of the heft of this device. So around and up. Once we have good mobility, to be specific, the flexibility, then we want to stabilize it with something like this and with the crossover symmetry, and we can show you that at a later date. Joe, what do you think as far as mobility, flexibility, and stability?
I think that this brings up a really good point in terms of what we're really talking about in terms of mobility. Having that flexibility, that when we get ready to prep for our warm-ups, there may not be a whole lot of stretching, but being able to do things like this to mobilize, to get in the right positions, and then being able to add in those stability components in the warm-up throughout the workout to make sure that we're kind of shored up from start to finish. That's what's going to be the really important part. So in case you guys are looking to kind of make that transition, these are obviously some things that we want to keep in there. We also do here at Spartan Strength Systems, we have programs to get you set up for that transition as well. But that's really what you want to be looking for, figuring out ways within the midst of your workout to be able to plug in these things, the shoulder rock, the things to be able to get the flexibility, the stability that we need, so that way when we're going overhead, we have the mobility to do so.
Yeah, I gotta plug your training program. I looked it over before we shot this video, and the thing that impressed me the most was your warm-up. And it wasn't just a bunch of stretching, right? It was getting those tissues moving, increasing the flexibility, but not necessarily the stretching. We're getting blood flow in the area. That's where the science shows us that is best and safest, actually safest for your athletes. We see more injuries with overstretching than we do with otherwise. So I love your warm-ups. If someone's looking to do strength training, and specifically strongman training, that program I'm in.
Absolutely.
That's what you should be doing. Let's look for future videos where we address the lumbar spine and the hip and where we put it all together. This is Dr. Nate with Physio Room and
Joe with Spartan Strength Systems. Thanks, guys.
Yep.